There's always going to be someone out there who knows something that you don't about a story. They might be at the scene before any journalists have arrived, and with so many smartphones and digital cameras out there, it's now incredibly easy for people to record what they see. The BBC is one of the first places that people send their pictures to, and they're often the most dramatic images, like this one from the terrorist attack in London 7/7. We get stories and case studies and opinion directly from our audience on a daily basis, and on a big breaking story, thousands of people will contact us. But increasingly, people are using social media to publish pictures themselves and share them with their friends. The first photo of the plane that landed safely, but rather spectacularly, in the Hudson River was in fact first uploaded onto Twitter. This is the UGC Hub. It's the engine of the newsroom when it comes to gathering social media. The team here work 24 hours a day, not only gathering but also processing all kinds of content, getting it on air and then getting it online. They had a huge job trying to verify all of those videos coming out of the Arab Spring.
I think it is very important to verify those videos because sometimes things may not be what they seem. For example, during the early stages of the Libyan uprisings, some Arab TV channels broadcast footage from the Iraq war, and they later retracted the footage with an apology. We don't want the BBC to do that.
2009 presidential elections, BBC team is in Tehran. A phone call comes through and says there's a demonstration down in X or Y square. Immediately the journalistic instincts click in. All the older journalists, including myself, run to the computers to check Reuters or AP, the news wires. All the young Iranians head to the sofa and get on Facebook and Twitter to find out what was happening. And I looked around and I said, uh-oh, look what's happening in this room. Look at the two different kinds of news gathering.
Well, on top of our day job, and by that I mean the more traditional kind of reporting for TV and radio and online, BBC correspondents now also have a presence on social media, especially Twitter. And that means you can break news directly from the field or even from the court, which I did earlier this year during the extradition hearing of Julian Assange. And that was the first time we've been able to do that, give live text updates from inside a courtroom here in the UK.
The Atacama Desert, where this rescue took place, is one of the most barren places in the world. It's so dry, nothing grows there. It's used by NASA for testing out sort of Mars and lunar equipment because it's unlike anywhere on Earth, really. They set up their Wi-Fi and they sort of created some really good sort of logistics for the media operation because they knew how big a story this was going to be. So when the BBC set up this Twitter account and said, OK, fine, I'll tweet and whatever, and it became quite addictive. And it was odd how quickly this story was being followed, and people were following me and other BBC correspondents there.
Something seems to be happening downstairs.
Well, Twitter and the like have increased the amount of news sources that I have access to, which is brilliant because it's increased my overall knowledge. At the same time, it's also increased, of course, the amount of rumour and speculation that I'm exposed to, and I think there's a danger in that, especially as some use Twitter to propagate false or exaggerated information.
During the England riots, I asked our global viewers how much the pictures we were carrying were affecting their image of Britain, and we used some of the responses in a sequence that we had on air.
Last year, during the election, I had a special job. I was the digital election correspondent. And I said at the time, and I really think this is the case, that this was the only election where you would want to have somebody in that role, because it's now becoming so much just part of the fabric of the job of a political correspondent like any other correspondent.
But it doesn't stop there, because we have to keep thinking about new audiences, and social media is one way to get our content out to them. There's a team here dedicated to just breaking news across all of our platforms, and social media really now is central to what they do here. A tweet from the BBC Breaking News that confirmed Osama bin Laden's death was one of the top tweets on the social networking site. It got retweeted hundreds of times. So social media is just another way of promoting everything that we do here at BBC News.